Welcome to the Newbie Real Estate Investor Podcast. I'm Jonathan Boyle, and this is Joey Chan. And today we're here with special guests,
Freddie Nouri,
Anthony Kiami.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. We love what you guys do. Big fan of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your personal side a little bit, not too much, and what you do in terms of real estate.
Sure. So, my background's in engineering. That's what I went to college for. And I got into real estate about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Took an interest, started palling around with some folks who were repairing homes, flipping homes. And it's evolved since then. It's evolved to sort of where it is today with what we do. And along the way, lots of learning, lots of failures, lots of mistakes. And I got to make all the mistakes, and then Freddie came in. I taught him more or less. We worked together to do things the right way.
For those that don't know, we're cousins.
That's awesome.
It's news to me, too.
I knew that.
My background is accounting, but before that, I grew up with a family repair shop. My dad had a repair shop in Patterson. That's where I became and learned my skill set with my hands. So fixing cars, it kind of just gave me the confidence to go attack and break stuff.
Okay.
You know, kind of what we do now. And I left that life and went to college for accounting. Got polished for 9-10 years doing that. On the meat side, I bought my first house, which was a two-family in Clifton. We bought other multifamilies together. I flipped the house while I was still working in the corporate world.
Yep.
And then I got my real estate license as well. And then I just liked the whole concept when I did the first flip of hunting the deal down, negotiating the price, doing the repairs, doing the demo,
Right.
finally finishing it, doing the photography, putting it on the market,
Yeah.
and then going through the ins and outs of the highs and lows of having buyers come in, make offers, and put it on the market and sell it. So I just loved everything about that. And then in January 2018, I was the manager of internal audit at a corporate company, and they announced that the department is going to be outsourced. So they gave 6 months to figure out what we're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I kind of got the push to leave the corporate world and just chase this for a little bit.
Kind of like sink or swim.
Sink or swim. I made the jump. I went all in, and I just didn't look back.
That's crazy. That actually reminds me, not exactly my story, but when I was going through a divorce, it was, okay, I have this much money left. What should I do? All into real estate or get into, go into the corporate world? So I chose real estate.
Yeah.
So
Good move.
Good move.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you guys tell us a little bit more detail about your guys' first flip together?
2 Martin Ave in Clifton. I think we came across a friend of a friend told you about the deal.
Yep. We had been talking about starting doing this. He had flipped the house by himself.
Okay.
I had been doing some other project on myself for a while, and we said, let's do something together. Came to me, friend of a friend referred him to me, and said, these are honest people. They won't hurt you. Go deal with them. So came to me, talked to the fellow. It was a referral, and yeah, we started on the house. We bought it. We used the experience we had so far. Definitely 2 years ago till now, even though we had so many years in real estate, you still learn with everyone for sure. And there was a lot of learning there.
So just to back up a little bit, Anthony's been a realtor for 15 years. He has a real estate license.
Okay.
He owns multifamilies. I got my license in 2016, and we own multifamilies together. And then we both have a flip experience. So between the two of us, we have a ton of agent experience,
Mm-hmm.
project management experience, connections from contractors from dealing with all multifamilies and making repairs. And then we put a little bit of investment together and bought this first. Our first 3 properties we bought with mortgages, and then we kind of just rolled that and steamrolled that into buying them with cash. And then this one, the accountant and me, we made a ton of I made my spreadsheet on it, and my spreadsheets go from when I'm just looking at kicking the tires on a property, it'll go from like 15 or 20 rows in the spreadsheet to when we buy it to 163 rows, just calculating every cost of every single room. I put Anthony to sleep every night. We talk about the spreadsheet, and I can hear him snoring on the other side. But at the end of the day, our numbers give us our confidence to pull the trigger. If we can hit that mark of what we're looking to get, that's what gives us our confidence. We always include a budget for screw ups or upgrading or things like that nature,
Mm-hmm.
and that we always refer back to that. Every time we fix a project, where did we go wrong? What do we save on? And we just kind of become more efficient with that spreadsheet, and we use it. Every single property has its own spreadsheet.
It's nauseating, really, his spreadsheet. It really is hundreds of. I take a napkin and I write some numbers down, and I give the thumbs up, thumbs down
Yeah.
on my napkin before I leave. and then Freddie will go and make his 100-line spreadsheet and say, well, point blah 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 percent is the return. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm within the range. My gut tells me it's a go.
Right.
So I go by my gut, my instincts. Freddie goes based on numbers. So as you'll see, as we talk more and more, that's sort of our dynamic. Is Anthony has a gut. Anthony just knows from experience, from working with really old school guys who taught me. When I started doing this, they were in their 50s, 60s, so they had been doing it for a long time.
Right.
And when they started, there wasn't really any books about, and there was no spreadsheets. And
No
it was
podcasts.
There was no podcast. It was just, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
This is where you should feel. So, and that's why our dynamic works, because we don't agree very often. There's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of him telling me everything he needs to tell me that I hear you, but I don't really, okay? And then me telling him stuff and he's hearing me and he's like, okay, fine, but that doesn't really jive with
So
me.
if he has a hunch, a lot of times I have to verify with my numbers and be like,
Yeah.
all right, you're onto something here, so let's see what we can do, and we take a shot at it. But that's our dynamic. We get along great. We're now on our 11th flip, and this is number 9 since we started in almost 2 years ago.
July. July will be 2 years.
Nice.
Next month.
Oh, wow.
Back to the original question, 92 Martin Ave. That was more of a cosmetic flip.
Okay.
We flip all single and 2 families. We hold on to anything 3 units or more. That was a cosmetic flip where we went in there, did the bathroom, painted, overhauled the basement. We finished the basement and put it back on the market. And that thing was, it was our first one, so a lot of ins and outs. We added a bathroom to the basement. We learned every single property. We learn and we learn and we learn and we learn.
Yeah,
And it helps us create our budgets for the next property. We think things like soft costs, right? When I say soft costs, things like our budget for closing fees, real transfer fees, insurance fees, commission we have to pay the buyer's agent, and that number ranges from $15 grand to $20 grand. We have to learn how to build that into every property just before you even buy a property. Just gonna get $20 grand with the pay to play kind of fees.
Yeah.
So those always grow. And we always build that spreadsheet to just kind of incorporate all that. This way, when we sell the next house, we're not missing anything.
Did you fall asleep while you were saying that?
No, I'm awake. I don't.
He knows the drill.
Yeah. Once you have some kids, you don't need to sleep anymore the rest of your life.
No, I know.
You just sort of in a perpetual state of, I'm listening. Go ahead, tell me what you're going to tell me.
Oh, I know. I have 3 kids.
So it's, but also example by example, job by job, you learn different ways to do things, right? And
Yeah.
the first one, I'd sit in that basement and I would visualize in my head the bathroom could go here. Okay, I could put a pit in the basement, I could put a pit in the ground, or I could put an injector pump. And what's the benefits? And do I know how thick this floor? So there's lots of things that you have to sit and think about, the trade-offs of this versus that, and the complexity. And as we all know, city is your weight, and now it's worse than ever. I could put it above ground. City inspections, they'll look at it for 5 minutes, that document. If I'm putting it in the ground, I might look at it for 3 weeks. And carrying houses in New Jersey, not so easy.
Right.
So, but all that doesn't come into play initially. You don't consider all those trade-offs up front. You don't consider the carrying, the thickness of the floor necessarily. You don't. Just 2 small examples, but those are just things that time over time we've learned.
Yeah.
And now when we show up, we know better off. Here's how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it.
Yeah, I think some of our first flips too. We have guys that will give us great prices because we use them all the time, but there's sometimes we have to kind of make the call where we call it a lot of our first flips where either we're doing a lot more of the work or we have 1 guy or 2 guys doing a lot of the work. So if they do 2 bathrooms, it might take our 1 guy to do 2 to 3 weeks to do those 2 bathrooms, where we might pay triple the price, but it'll be done in 2-3 days, between tiling and things like that. And we've shifted more towards that, where a lot of times we used to do a lot more demo ourselves, but now we hire 3-4 guys, knock it out in 2 days, and keep moving. I think time is key as well. We've learned to really streamline the process of who goes in, who goes out, when to get everything going, when to do the floors, when to do the painting, things of that nature too. So that was a big learning curve as well.
Like you were saying a minute ago, that's kind of like what Joey and I do, sort of. Like, I'm more of the optimist, where I'm like, let's do this, this, and this. And Joey's like, no, this is going to cost this is going to cost this. Oh, you might be onto this. And then eventually, we agree in the middle somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, so how do you guys sort of define your role? What are you sort of doing for the partner?
And what are you doing for the partnership?
Right.
So I guess if we had to have a title to summarize me, it'd probably be senior advisor because I'm older. Another term that gets called around when I show up is quality control is here. Because I'll walk in and say, well, that should be done this way. Don't do that now because we're going to have to take it apart later and redo it.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I don't like, it's negative work. I don't like going back and doing something again. So we're gonna do it right now, the right way, so that when we're way down, I don't give it takes another day or two. It's again, that's my advice as senior advisor. This is the way we should do it, and the repercussions of it will eat it. So that's usually how I coordinate with Fred. That's how I contribute.
So my role is mostly because I'm doing it full time, and anything that works on a day, so I do it full time. My time is I meet with the contractors, I set everything up, I meet with the inspectors, we line up the day's work, we line up the contractors, I pick up any materials that we need to keep everybody going. I put it on social media, always trying to look for leads in terms of buying the houses, things of that, and also too, I'll meet with the inspectors as well.
The day-to-day operations.
Day-to-day operations.
Submitting permits, picking permits up, meeting with architects, a lot of ordering parts, as you know, a lot of substitute parts, a lot of on the spot. Oh, we forgot this one piece, and we're all going to sit here like this for 3 hours to get us this one part because now we can't do anything. And by then, I'm charging you by the hour. It's like, well, so boom, he goes, gets it, comes right back.
We'll line it all up.
That's big value because they'll just sit there. Some contractors, just sit there and wait until they have the piece they need. So
or they're not even gonna tell you. They're gonna go home, and then the next day you're like, what happened to the guy? And then you call them and like, hey. You forgot to buy the drain.
Yeah.
And that has happened to me so many times.
So it's always just keeping the pedal to the metal, moving the contractors along, keeping it going, keeping the whole process going, because not only are we trying to focus on what's going on at hand at the project, we always have our eyes down the road, how to keep our pipeline of flips busy, Every morning we have the MLS hitting us up, sending over to all of our emails, single families, multi-families. We make a note, every night we go over the hot sheet of what house to target, what leads we have. I'll either go out there, scout it, I'll take a whole video of the house and be like, Anthony, go check this out. I want your approval before we make an offer on it. We do that a lot, It's always about what we're doing now and what we're doing to keep the pipeline full. Because you don't want to finish all the houses and be like, I have nothing to do right now, It's all about keeping that pipeline full.
Communication is key.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's funny, like, you bring that up. I have one property I just listed, and after this, I really don't have much going on, but that's because of COVID and everything.
Yeah.
Which actually reminds me to ask this question. What have you guys done differently now that COVID has hit and everything? Or have you done anything different?
Sure. Before I answer that, I want to say something that's been my experience. It's either everything or nothing. So when you have nothing, put your feet up, grab an iced tea, and chill out. Because when it comes at you, you'll be glad that you took that 5 minutes to put your feet up. My 5 minutes, my 10 seconds of advice. I've seen that over 15 years. It's always everything or nothing.
So translate that, it's like sometimes we go from having 7 opportunities at once, looking at 7 different houses, like how are we gonna grab all these, then all of a sudden, nothing.
There's nothing.
And it just goes up and down, up and down. So we're kind of like in that lull right now.
Right. So to COVID, we're in the lull, and that's okay.
So
Take a break, take a breather, relax. Longevity is key. So definitely, I didn't expect the housing market to do what it's doing. Nobody ever knows what's going to happen. If we did, we'd be on our own island right now. If we knew what the market was going to do, right? So, but we definitely thought that it would have some effect on house prices. It hasn't. I thought the inventory would. We knew it was short. We didn't think it would be this short, and we're not really changing our operations. We're sort of just going as usual. Freddie's still doing the best he can to try to get some more leads in, and we're doing the best we can finishing our houses. There's really no change to the way things work, in my opinion. It's just there's less things to do, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we changed our strategy a little bit. I mean, in February and March, early March, we closed on 3 Clifton 2 families. When we did the renovations and we put on the market during COVID, this one we closed in February, and we kind of had plans at first to flip this renovation, but then we did our numbers, and then he had a hunch that, hey, you know what, we just cleaned this up and put it back on the market. We bought it cheap enough that we'd make something and we'd be able, kind of get out if the market were to tank. And that's when now the stock market dropped 30%. So back to reflect what we did before, he had a hunch, I checked my numbers, I was like, all right, let's clean it out and try it on the market. So we put it on the market, and just people, there's a ton of traffic on it. It was the cheapest Clifton 2 family at the time, so it got a lot of traffic. And we just figured that, so we took this house originally to flip. We ended up cleaning it up and we bought it cheap enough just to throw it back on the market because we did get a little bit concerned about what was going to happen to the market. I mean, the Dow in the end of March just dropped 30%. So we're like, is this the end of the the ride that we're going on this wave with the real estate? So we cleaned it up, put it back on the market as is, and we put it as the cheapest Clifton 2 family at the time. And we just thought we had a better shot of someone paying top dollar or high dollar because it's under that $300,000 price range. We put it for $279. versus finishing it, and you might in that under $300,000 mark, we might have 20 buyers or 10 buyers possibly.
Mhm.
Or if we finish it and get over $400,000, we might have, I don't know, 5 to 8 buyers. So it was a numbers game, and we just took a shot at it, and we got this thing under contract very quick.
It's calculated risk.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say this
Yeah.
same exact thing.
The market's tanking. Do you risk it? Do you not risk it? And we chose not to. The other side of that coin is, I enjoy reading about new ways to do construction. I enjoy watching This Old House a lot. Ideas, ways to do things, efficiency, all great things. I don't want to do that just for the sake of doing it, to put $1 in to get $1 out. That I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I could watch a video, or I could visit somebody else's job to learn. To put our dollars out, if it's going to sell anyway, even to put $1 out to get $1.10 back, not really. There's risk in that. Things could go wrong.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to get 10% more back to carry that risk and carry the house. As you said before, all the other ancillary bills that you're carrying day to day. So that's another thing that we figured here, and we figure into every house. It's got to make sense.
Not only that, I'm pretty sure you would probably have to have a lot of permits, and I forget when exactly permits pretty much got shut down, but that would just add to your holding cost. I mean, right now, even though COVID is slowly like dying, like we're flattening the curve and everything like that, my property in East Orange, no one is picking up the phones, so that way we could do our scheduled inspections, and that's holding up the closing. We would have closed like 2-3 weeks ago, and we're still waiting for them to call back.
Absolutely challenging.
Yeah.
And just to
definitely.
talk numbers a little bit about that, to put in the numbers form, which is what I do. For an example numbers. If we buy a house for 300, we put it back on the market. We think we get 400 for it, but if we finish it, the max is 450. We just might as well put it on 400, because anytime we just finish it, we're going to spend 50 grand more, but we're only going to get 50 grand more, so we break it even. There's no point to do that. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we did the same thing when we bought our Nutley property. We figured the same exact math. So yeah, we did the same numbers. And we analyzed, hey, instead of spending 6 months on the renovation, let's try to spend maybe a month cleaning it out. But it didn't work out that way. But that was our goal, to try to just do a light rehab and try to maximize the dollar as much.
So in that case, it's two things. It's right. It's the once the purchase price, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always in the purchase price. What you get it for, always sees how the deal's gonna go.
Of course.
And then also to that lower price number could bring a more pool of buyers, where you get that competing offer, and then you're pretty. If you have once it's backup offers, it's nice to, if anyone pulls out, you can keep going.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just our luck. That was at the beginning of COVID, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
all the hard money loan lenders, they seized up. That kind of got rid of a lot of investors for this.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to other things, 2 or 3K loans, FHA loans, and you have to be creative. And whoever wanted it most, that kind of helped
made
them
it
out,
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave I think COVID gave a shot for a lot of FHA buyers to come out finally the woodwork and take their shot, because no one really wants to deal with FHA
Yeah.
people so much because of the second inspection they get from the during the appraisals.
Yep.
But this gave another shot at it.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I had one closing just very recently, FHA Buyer. It was supposed to close in about 45 days. Ended up closing in about 65 days. But we had it under contract before COVID.
Yeah.
But it didn't close until about 2 weeks ago, something like that. So it took a lot longer. So we have another property under contract now. Is actually a VA buyer. I kind of told you the story before.
Yeah.
Came in with a huge demand list, and we're like, hey, no.
Yeah. I think they wanted 3-4 pages worth.
Yeah.
And then we spoke to them. They're like, okay, we want these 8 things, and we're like, okay. But then the attorney's like, we still want these 3-4 pages, and eventually they caved, but still.
Yeah, I mean, they had a demand of a $35,000 in credit originally, and we're like, no, I'll give you $1,000 for the chimney.
Yeah.
And they came back and said, oh, we'll bring it up to 3. We're like, no, $2,000, $2,000.
Took away
right?
everything.
$2,000, or basically we'll just walk. And then the attorney tried one last time, said $2,500. We're like, no, 2,000 or we'll walk. That's it. We're tired of this. Just let's move on to the next phase. So they said, okay, we'll take 2,000. So we kind of, I like to think we won that battle.
Yeah,
You did.
I think we did.
So
They're just doing their job. Attorneys it's just business. They're just doing their job.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think of it as like, hey, if I in the future, if I was in that situation, like purchasing or whatever, I would want to use that guy because they're going to bat for their buyer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Salute that attorney. Their job is to get as much money as possible. Your job is to pay a little money as possible.
Exactly.
Right. So that's just, if you accept that, things become a lot easier in your negotiation because there's no emotion involved.
it's offense versus defense. I mean, I've been on the other side as a realtor. I've been times where my buyers just did an inspection, and I'm sitting there like, listen, they have other buyers. They have multiple offers.
Right.
Be reasonable with your inspection list, and they'd be like, you know what, just put it in the request. You never know if it's free to ask. So, by the time in my head, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna ask for like maybe a $2,000 credit. They come back with everything, $30,000 credit, like probably like what your buyers got talked into, and you shoot down and then take away you bring back to reality.
Yeah.
And once you threaten to remove, take the house away from them, they're like, okay, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
No, it's funny. I actually had a listing like that where I told them these are the comps, and then they're like, oh, let's list it for $20K over those comps, and I'm like, it's not gonna sell at that price that you want it. Oh, but we should just try it anyway. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to disclose this, but we have an oil tank underground, and we don't plan on paying for that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out I was right. Eventually it sold, 20 at, where the comps were, and they had to remove the tank.
Back to the COVID thing before we leave this question. Something we did do differently is we were carrying single families and multifamilies. We made a decision to direct all our efforts towards the single families, to finish them and get them sold, because we assumed that the multifamilies would be lower risk and there'd be a bigger buyer pool should this downturn have been more aggressive than it was.
Right.
So we did do that, and we unloaded the single families first, and then we came back to the less risky properties, and we're sitting in right now.
And since we started, we've always lived in that ARV, after repair value, of $350 to $550 with single family and two families. We like kind of just to do more short-term flips, anywhere from start to finish of maybe, 4 to 6 months, 4 to 7 months, where it's more so cosmetic flips is add a bathroom, add this, add that. With COVID, we felt kind of good going into COVID with 3 Clifton 2 families. If we sell them or flip them, we made money. If we had to rent them, we made money. So we felt pretty good with that. And also too, we kind of enhanced our way of marketing. We did more virtual tours for the first time and YouTube videos of walkthroughs.
Yes.
And I think we're going to be doing that more going forward more often. Just because it gets rid of a lot of tire kickers. Something like this. We did a walk through the house. I would send them a link to the YouTube video to other agents that would text me that want to see it. Like, look at this first before you bring your buyers, because it needs every single thing. It's not ready to go.
Right.
And that got rid of a lot of the tire kickers or non-serious buyers. And I think that really helped us out during our sales too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like I'll be implementing Matterport and for like the 3D virtual tours, and actually if it's a fully renovated property, probably now staging, just from seeing the like the pros and cons, even if it's at a lower price point. As far as staging is concerned, it's funny, I have one property on the market and literally been a little bit more than 24 hours, not even 2 full days yet, and I have 5 offers, and some of them, or 4 of the 5 above asking, so
Nice.
it's insane, and the terms are ridiculous. I don't know where all these people came out of, but I feel like the staging definitely helped a lot compared to some of my previous listings.
Wow.
Oh, and then same thing like with our 2 Nutley houses, even during COVID, like one of them we got an offer like the first day,
Yeah.
and then the other like had 2 over ask. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the second one, we had an issue with one of the floors. The floor had like a raised, like a bump, and as soon as we fixed that bump, we started getting offers in.
Really?
So yeah, because people thought it was a structural issue with the house, so we're like, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it was just something that was
Cosmetic.
there. It was cosmetic, but it was a bump. So as soon as we fixed that, we started getting offers. So
Yeah.
it was crazy.
no, it's insane, the little things that I think that's another thing we need to start doing from now on. Start asking more feedback just in general, and like the no BS feedback. Like, is it literally because of this? You know?
Yeah.
So
And we also think too, like with this one, we didn't do much, but we cleaned it out. And one of the biggest eyesores was the retaining wall was 90 degrees, just fell down. So that was one of the biggest repairs we did to this, other than cleaning it out and putting it back on the market. Just because I think, like, you know, someone like my mom that doesn't know too much about real estate, if she walked through the house, what would be the biggest thing that she would call out that would turn her off, or someone that's not trained with the eye like us to see? So I'd have, like, you know, someone that if she called that out, you know, that's one thing that you have to fix or change. And I think that helps out a lot to have that mentality.
Right. Well, I call out the 2 missing kitchens.
Slim design.
Good thing we're already under contract. Well, you might have.
Yeah, I think they might have missed that, but hopefully, you know.
Oh, you see a chestnut? Look at this chestnut.
Yeah.
Use them up.
Yep. Yeah, the beautiful chestnut wood blew out.
But also too, I think another thing, we took the time during COVID because both houses are under we had 3 2 families, one sold already, but as we're under contract, we took the time to kind of build up our marketing campaign. We always wanted to do a website, so we took a little bit of time to start building the website, and we've been doing that. We built more shirts, we built more business cards. There it is, MetroFit Realty shirts. We buy houses. We're taking time now to start getting in front of bulk mailings, things like that, and things just more exploring. How to get more leads.
Yeah, like you have a lot more time to focus on those things now.
To do the admin work too, because when you're in the field all day, it's hard to get in front of the computer and start doing all that admin work, the calculations, recording expenses, doing spreadsheets, stuff like that. And now's the time to kind of do that instead of going out in the field and seeing what the contractors are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah. So my question to you is, being a realtor, did that help you in your investing business at all?
I believe so, because I think that we have 3 skill sets. As realtors, project managers, and investors. As realtors, you can kind of have an idea of what's going on with the market. You could see what the houses are doing on the street. You have access to all the data on the MLS. You could pull, you know what, this house is going to compound for this. I think this is a deal. And you could kind of target the deals better. You could also picture what the buyers and sellers are going to be looking for when they walk through the house. As a project manager, you're more motivated, and you can kind of see what's going on all sides of it, as with the realtors and for the investor. So as the investors, you have the pressure to get the job done, and you're always thinking about what's best for the deal or what's best for the transaction and what's going to get the best results. So I think having those 3, being a 3-headed monster like that, gives you a great combination of what's with the market, the best return on investment, and just to move everything along smoothly.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Because I remember there was one property in Belleville I saw that it was on the MLS. It was listed for 2 months. No one looked at it, and I was like, let me take a look at it. Deep dive. Oh, it's a 20 by 100 lot. Okay, so there's no parking.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. Something told me, like as I was looking at the tax record, wait, it's 1,300 square feet, so it could be and it was listed as a 2-2. So for anyone, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom.
Yeah.
So I was like, there might be a way to squeeze a 3rd bedroom in there, but still, there's no parking. So then I was like, let me see if there's a way to add parking. So I Googled it, Google Maps. It's right by an empty lot.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what's the address of this empty lot? Come to find out, it's the same homeowner, but it's not disclosed on the MLS that they were both selling together at that price. So I was just like, oh snap, value add right there.
Yep. I bet I know which
Which house it
house
is.
Yeah, you gotta do your homework for sure. It's you gotta do your homework. Just the person who does the cursory glance doesn't get it. You know, it's
Yeah.
that bird that digs and digs and digs. They get the worm. So sometimes you gotta just dig and find out what you uncovered, like you just did. You never know.
Exactly.
And no offense, but they always say that sometimes contractors don't make as good flippers because they either underbuild or overbuild. You know, sometimes they're not in touch with the market. You know, they want to put the best of the stuff. Like you wouldn't put marble everything in Patterson. You don't know. You know, you want to make sure what's going on in the market.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of.
No offense, Joey.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of started out that way myself. You know, when I started first flipping houses, you know, I wanted to like fix up everything, make everything nice, because that's what I was used to doing it for my customers, right? But before I did that, you know, I had previous experience working for other flippers, so that told me, hey, I don't need to put the best of the best in every property. It's really based on where you are, how much the house is worth, you know, what you're gonna get out of it, right? Is what you put into it.
Exactly. So you could pull up the MLS and say that if you're in a market where the house is sold for $350, you can look at all the bathrooms that, you know, all the houses that sold for $350. You can look at all their bathrooms on the pictures in the MLS.
Yeah.
You can say like, hey, you know what? I could get away with a $200 Home Depot vanity versus granite or quartz countertop bathroom for $700 or $800 because all the other houses did it. I think that's key. You have to really, and again, that makes you, as an investor, you're price conscious. It's not somebody else's money; it's your money. So that kind of gives you a nice drive for it.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. You guys listen to podcasts, you know, videos and things like that. Have any suggestions as far as what you guys listen to?
So, admittedly, I don't listen to any podcasts. Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay.
I don't. I'm more interested in the work side of the sales, the social media. I wouldn't say that stuff evades me. I would say I don't even look at it, and I'll admit it, and that's okay.
It's okay. Gary Vee doesn't either.
I don't. I
You don't have to.
See, I don't even know who Gary Vee is. So sorry, whoever that is. But I don't. I focus singularly on what my expertise is, and I focus in on that. And like I said, I watch a lot of videos on how to do something. I watch a lot of new technology videos. You know, there's always conferences for new technologies to do houses, for window installing technologies, flooring, decking new technologies. That stuff is what interests me, and I like to devote my time to looking at that because I can look at the social media aspect of it, and you're very all the podcasts there are, but I know I'm not going to pay attention. I just know it, and if I'm not paying attention, it's not worth my time. He enjoys that very much. Freddie watches all of it, and then when we're in the car together, when we see each other, we exchange. I watched this, I learned this. What did you get from watching that thing? So it's sort of divide and conquer.
Right.
Because if one person had to do it all, you'd be up all night watching podcasts, which most people do anyway. But it's
I'm sure
not.
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, again, I focus.
No, that's great. I love it. I love it because everybody's like, hey, I watched this, I watched that, and then do they really?
They could say they watch it and then they're like, and then you ask them, how many deals have you done? Oh, well, it's just X, Y, and Z. I haven't been able to buy because, and then it's like, well, you're watching all this, but you're not doing. Yeah. So at least you're doing, which is amazing.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. That's what interests me, and there's a lot of, even if you watch, for example, again, this old house. Sorry, I keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
But they've been doing this for, that's a 10, 15-year-old show. The way they fixed the concrete crack 12 years ago. Type in concrete crack. You'll see the way they fixed 12 years ago. And the episode last year, not the same fix. It's not. There's a new fix.
Yeah.
Why is there a new fix? Is it a better fix? Is it a cheaper fix? Is it a long-term fix? So that stuff matters to me.
No, that's great. I love that. You know, that's not your typical answer, but it's a true answer. It's very similar to myself. You know, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts or stuff like that. I, you know, do listen to books. You know, I don't read books, but, you know, I do Audible as far as books. I never did that years ago. You know, as a contractor, I didn't read any books. Nothing. You know, as far as books, I read comic books, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Freddie?
So, like the way Anthony, like my numbers put Anthony to sleep. Sometimes when he tells me about the materials in concrete, I can fall asleep on it easily. You know, but when I started getting into real estate, I listened to Bigger Pockets. I know most guys always go to Bigger Pockets. It's one of the biggest presence in real estate, and they do have good stuff. They're always doing a good job of innovating. They come out with a lot of good books too. You know, so I always read that. I just glance around. I'm guilty of skipping to the chapters I like. But usually if I'm googling a different topic of what I want to attack, usually Bigger Pockets has a podcast for that. Like this last couple of weeks, I've been trying to really focus on bulk mailings, and it just happens that Bigger Podcasts, they send out email lists like every other day, and that was one of the topics, how to get more leads, and it just keeps your pulse on the market of what the other guys are doing. 'Cause you always have to try to not reinvent yourself, but always kind of scale your business or scale your marketing to different audiences. 5-10 years ago, no Instagram. Instagram generates a lot of leads for me. People always see I'm fixing houses, buying houses, and it kind of goes, hey, someone in my family just passed away. Can you come look at this house? Back to your original question though about the whole podcast, it's Bigger Pockets. Watch a lot of YouTube videos and just read a lot of blogs too. And that there's all kind of revolves around Bigger Pockets. I mean, there's that one flipping book
by Jay Scott.
By Jay Scott, yeah. Jay Scott was the one I watched. I read the Jay Scott book.
I think it's called The Book on Flipping Houses.
The Book on Flipping Houses, and then Multifamily Millionaire as well was one of them too for our rental property businesses. And it's really just try to always, again, when I'm interested in something, I Google it and I attack it with reading the top 5-10 websites. But I have been watching a lot more of your the Newbie real estate stuff. I like it. You've had some really great appearances on it, and definitely
Thank you.
absorbing a lot of that information. There's a couple people I watched out, reach out to them, I follow their Instagram now and see what they're doing, and provides a lot of great networking contacts in New Jersey too, which I love it about it because it's local.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, guys, I guess since we're wrapping up here, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who's getting started in real estate?
Oh, one word, very easy with most things in life: patience. Patience. Like they say, location. This doesn't happen overnight. Expect to make mistakes, and it's not always about the money. If you could the whole apprentice idea has sort of escaped the society. Tail somebody for free and learn what they did, because you may not think you're not making that year your $50,000 a year salary out of college. Let me tell you something. One mistake in real estate, and you guys will attest to it, is a lot more than $50,000.
Yeah.
So learn, have patience, and make it worth your while. We tried not to come out of the gate and take on the biggest projects. We worked slow. We saved money for a long time, invested our own money, and we had patience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say my 3 things is, one, like I said, mentorship, right? If you don't know how to do something, just go out there and go experience it. See what the other people are doing. See what the bigger guys are doing in the market. There's a lot of people, I feel like a lot of investors are proud of their work, so they have no problem having someone come tag along. It just helps with, you're getting that experience, I've seen this before. How do I do this? How do I do that? 2, as a numbers guy, with flipping, I'm all about the numbers, right? You got to break down the property. At the end of the day, if you get your budget right, your numbers are your confidence. I can't say that enough. Your numbers are your confidence. The second confidence booster is your contractors. You have to really develop a good team of contractors that that they have your back. They're not just waiting for something to screw up so they can nail you for more money or things like that. Numbers and confidence give me my biggest confidence, and just pulling the trigger, knowing a deal when you see one. I think my first property, I looked for property for 6 months. I was getting anxious for my first house I ever bought was 6 months. But you know what? After looking for 6 months, I learned from every single house I saw. So when I saw that deal come on the market, I pulled the trigger within an hour. I sent the offer, and that's when just from putting yourself out there so much and learning.
No, I get it. It took me over a year to even make offers maybe about 6 to 8 months before making offers in real estate, and then it took over a year to actually get something under contract. So, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time. I mean, I started going to like networking events and things like that for about 2 years before I did my first basically fix and flip. I mean, for myself, not for other people, because as a contractor, I'm working for other people, but I'm not really involved financially. So there's no risk to me as a contractor. So when you have your own money in it, it's totally different.
Different mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And fun fact, our first project, it wasn't together, but it was the sale date, right?
Yeah.
I think we both sold our first project the same day.
Really?
Yeah.
But we found out like just maybe a couple months ago.
Right. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
You guys are synced.
Yeah.
Another key thing is that, you always read about it. If you have fun with what you're doing, you're never gonna work a day in your life. I truly feel like I've left the corporate world, and I'm all about this. And when I left the corporate world to go do this, people like my father, my parents, Anthony, they questioned me, like, is it sure you want to do it full time? And I just said, if I'm not having fun, I'll go back to work. If you see me not having fun, I'll go back to the corporate world. And since then, I've never looked back.
Yeah, go ahead, son.
I'm disappointed in myself that I forgot to bring that up. I always tell Freddie, the day we stop having fun, we stop doing this. Because there's 100 ways to make money in New Jersey. And do something else you like. But absolutely, we have fun every day.
We eat, breathe, and sleep it. The morning we wake up, we have probably 50 phone calls a day together, making sure we cover everything. It's just a good balancing act, we just balance each other out,
Yeah, you cover each other's bases, we do the same thing,
So.
Because, I wouldn't say we're opposite, but, he has his skill sets and I have my skill sets, so we kind of cover each other.
And it complements each other way too, because there's so many times we're like, let's go look at this house. We look at the house, and then either he likes it, I don't like it, or vice versa, and we have to always challenge each other to bring up the good points. So I know that when I'm going to look at it, I have to have like 5 strong points and balances, right? He'll give me, he'll tell me why we shouldn't get it. I'll tell him why we should get it. And we try to bring up good points to each other, and sometimes we get the house, sometimes we don't get the house. It's always great to have another pair of eyes, and I know that he's got my back and I have his back.
Yeah, no, same here. Like we look at it, we look at the purchase price. Like, do you think this makes sense, or should we go lower? And then kind of go from there.
Yeah, and what's the strategy behind it? Are we gonna just fix and flip it? Are we gonna try to wholesale it? Are we gonna wholetail it? Are we gonna rent it out? So we kind of try to figure out what's the best use on the property too.
Yeah, like the
I'm sure
highest.
you guys are doing the same.
Yeah, highest and best use based off time.
That's exactly it. You have to be
'Cause,
creative. It keeps you creative every single day. Every single house is different. Every single situation is different.
Absolutely.
You have to get creative with what you're going to do with it. You have to get creative when you buy it. Is there tenants in it? How do you get the tenants out? Is it cash or keys? Is it let them rent it for another 2 months? You have to be creative. And you should think outside the box a lot of times too in this business.
No, exactly. Like with another one of my buddies, I've been starting to do a lot more talking about like seller finance, because some of these deals going on now, the equity isn't there. What's one of the biggest things you've learned being a real estate agent here?
So as a real estate agent and a flipper, one of the biggest challenges you see is that a lot of times when you're selling a house that you don't own, a lot of other realtors, other people come and say, hey, can I buy the house off market? And you know what, it's not your house. If you hit to knock the deal out and they give you full asking, great, you could do the deal. But the mentality with the owner, if I own the house and I'm the real estate agent and I'm amping it up to say that it's coming on the market, a lot of people come at you and be like, hey, can I buy off market? They don't want to compete. So as the owner, there's not much advantage to not putting it on the market, because someone can tell you they want it off market, you sign a contract with them, and they waste your time for 2 months, and that's money out the window of carrying costs. So we make a rule that we always try to list our properties when we're done flipping it, because there's just no advantage to not doing it. You never know if the price is going to go higher, or sometimes it can go lower. So once you have it listed, you always have power and you have more leverage as the owner.
It definitely makes sense, because like one of the houses that I sold, it was the second one I ever sold. I put it on the market. I didn't even put it on the market yet. I just put it on Facebook.
Yep.
And then one of my friends reached out that he wanted to buy it, and usually tire kickers, but he was like dead serious. He came and saw it, and then after they wrote up an offer, they're like, oh, we have an agent, and I felt like such an ass. I was just really don't want to pay an agent if we're doing this.
It's agent to agent, it's buyer to buyer, buyer to seller.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, I know I could have gotten significantly more if it was on the market. And not only that, after they bought it, they started complaining about certain things to me afterward because they were my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I did nothing with the plumbing. You can't blame me for that.
Also mentality too, right? This is an example. You tell your friends, hey, I have an awesome house on the market. They come see it. No matter what, I think you're asking too much. That's their mentality, right? They walk away. But if you don't even tell them that it's going on the market, you say, hey, I just listed this. They come see it, and then they say, hey, it's too much. Be like, okay, I have 3 offers. And then once you see that they have 3 offers, and they start thinking, be like, okay, maybe that is a good deal. 3 other people think it's a good deal.
Right.
And then you have more leverage to not sell it for a below asking price. Be like, let me know what you want to do. I can tell you where you have to be because, you know, you're my friend, but you have all the advantage and it's all the
Yeah, you have
as well.
all the insider.
And their mentality, it's the mentality too. You know, they think anyone that hears the word off market, they think they're gonna get a deal because they're not competing against anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is music to our ears as investors and home buyers.
Absolutely.
But on the other side of it, you don't want to. It's different.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I just sold a house in December, not as an agent but as an owner, and we at that time, before we got it under contract, I didn't even have the kitchen in yet, but the buyer saw everything else and they loved it. So she's like, okay, listen, don't put it on the MLS. I'll buy it, you know. And again, I didn't even have the kitchen in yet, no cabinets, nothing. You know, in the end, we gave her a great product. But I know, and my other partner knows, that we could have gotten way higher than what she offered us to buy the house if we had put it on the market. You know,
The best thing you could do is say, I'll let you know. I'll always give you the opportunity to match it.
yeah.
If you always give the opportunity to match it, that's fair game because you are getting higher. You know.
Well, I mean, in fairness
if it
for
doesn't
us, we did save a lot of time because we
Yeah.
went under contract, like I said, before we had the kitchen and stuff like that. And during that entire time, you know, we were doing all the paperwork and things like that. So it gave me some time to finish up the property.
Hit the ground running.
You know, and then once we finished, basically, like the day we finished was the day we closed.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, so it did help a little bit. Like we didn't have to stage the property. You know, her basically inspection like wish list, as they all have, right, was very, very minimal.
Yeah.
You know, even the home inspector that came, he was like, oh, this is great. You know, so we didn't get killed with that part, which was good.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could go both ways, but again, I also knew that we could have gotten higher, but then we would have had to spend more money too at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, so
Exactly.
it can go both ways. Kind of wrap it up. How can people get in touch with you guys, either on social media, you know, email, phone number?
Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Freddie Nouri. It's my tag on Facebook, and then Instagram as well. I'm big on Instagram. I'm always showing my newest projects, my newest houses I'm selling for my clients, houses I'm selling for myself.
Mhm.
That's also Freddie Nouri on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. Also, MetroFitHomes.com. That's a site where we offer our service of buying houses. You could go there, type in your home address, your name, and a contact, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours with a cash offer.
Or call or text 973-500-8010 and we'll get back to you.
Nice.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks again for having us.
Yeah.
We love what you guys do, and keep up the good work. You know, you guys really bring a lot of inspiration, and I'm always watching to see what everybody else is doing, and just always learning from it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you know, I've been following you for a while too, you know, so
Same here.
it's the same, you know, mutual.
Thank you for having us. Keep sharing the knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And like and subscribe.
Yes. Take care, everyone.